I love Ryan Fitzpatrick, but this isn't some unique indignity that's been visited upon him. Guys get benched all the time. And when he says he got fired, dude, you're still getting paid.
Yeah, no,
you're
that's
still
not
getting paid
fired.
a lot of money.
You're right.
That's not fired.
No,
right?
That's if that's fired, sign me up, Dolphins. I'll come down right now. Brian Flores, call me up. I'm ready. You can fire me every day.
I don't know how serious he is about it when he says it like that. It's just so jarring because that's not what you expect from him. And how often do you have a guy who gets benched at any position who publicly complains about it with those kinds of terms? Again, not fired. Here's his salary for this year. It's $8 million. That is for each and every week that he sits on the bench. $470,000. Yeah, we should all be so fired, Chris.
Yes, exactly. You know, I mean, first off, hey, I understand he's disappointed. We talked about it yesterday. He's been playing some pretty good football. You know, there's been no pressure on the team because there's no expectations. I'm sure he's loving it and doing, you know, all the aspects of it, and probably feels like, hey, we're kind of building something. We're 3-3. Here we go. We've played pretty good. You know, so I think that probably excited him, his family. I'm sure it's a tough pill to swallow. There's no doubt about it. But he had to have known that, you know, there at some point during this year, this was going to be a conversation, regardless of record, that they were going to try to infuse him in there at some point. And when I say him, I mean Tua. And, yeah, this kind of fights back against the notion that, you know, Ryan Fitzpatrick is the perfect guy for this situation and he won't cause any problems. And I don't think he'll cause any problems. But yesterday, yeah, those comments is like they're sulking. You know, he's sulking in a bad day. And I don't know if you air that out to the media, but, yeah, that's the way it works in the NFL. You know, you lose your job, and you got to sit there in the room with the guy that told you you're losing your job, and then you also got to sit there in the room with the guy who just took your job, and they replaced you with it. That's life in the NFL. So it's no different for him or anybody other position or anything like that out there. The quarterback becomes a little more personable that way because we see their faces and everything more like that. But hopefully he, you know, quiets it down and starts supporting Tua here from here on out.
Let's hear a little bit more from Ryan Fitzpatrick on hearing the news that he would be placed on the bench in favor of Tua Tagovailoa.
I was shocked by it. You know, it definitely caught me off guard. And, you know, it was a hard thing for me to hear yesterday, just kind of digesting the news. My heart just hurt all day. This organization and what we've been through the last year and a half, you know, this was kind of the first place other than Buffalo where I just felt fully, you know, committed and invested and felt like it was my team, you know, and so to have that, I think that's a lot of the reason why my heart was so heavy yesterday, but, you know, that's the direction that the organization's going, and, you know, I've just got to accept it.
Two observations. First of all, why would you let yourself think that it's your team?
Thank you.
When they just used the fifth
That's
pick
the number
in the
one
draft
thing
on a quarterback.
Right. I mean, you're misleading yourself.
Fault.
That's your fault. Right. That's the first thing I thought of, too, when I saw that. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other point.
Yeah.
It's not like they're making every player available to the media now that they do these video press conferences. And typically it's an easy way to tuck a guy into the corner on a day when maybe he wouldn't be thrilled with what's going on. I don't know why they made him available yesterday. He's not the starting quarterback, and they're on a bye week. Why in the hell did they make him available? I appreciate the transparency, but if I'm the PR director of the Miami Dolphins, Ryan Fitzpatrick's not talking to the media on the Wednesday of our bye week. He's not the starter. There's no obligation this week to do anything. We're not making him available, period.
Yeah, well, maybe the Dolphins just want to get it out of the way, right? That would probably be my thinking. Like, just get it out of the way right now where he can talk to the media, and then next week it's all Tua, and we're not still talking about the replacing of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I think if they knew what he was going to say,
they wouldn't have
made him available.
Yeah,
I think they misread the room.
I mean, I don't totally disagree with that either, Mike. You're right. I don't think they probably expected him to kind of say some of the things he said here. And not that it's like crossing the line with what he said, but he's certainly making it a little uncomfortable and, right on the edge there of to where coaches and people in the organization are not going to like it. You could see he's truly beat up about this. He looks like he looks like pale, like he's, a little bit like in shock or this whole thing. And I'm not trying to be funny or anything. It's hurt his heart. I believe that. I do. But I think the big thing is what you just said. I mean, I don't know why he let himself be misled by himself to think that this was his team and that basically anything other than 6-0 was probably the only thing that could have saved his job at this point to where he would have kept going. But, I mean, they were looking for their moment to slide him in. The bye week, teams where it's at, where it's in a good spot where it can support Tua, and we know where the schedule is, and it makes a lot of sense, and hopefully he can understand that from their organizational standpoint.
I think a lot of this may just be a manifestation of the fact that he is frustrated with himself for allowing himself to think that.
Maybe.
And I'm surprised he's so candid with it because this is the guy who went to Harvard, if you haven't heard. How does he let himself develop this blind spot, this delusion that he's got this job, that this is his team? What did he think was going to happen this year? What did he think was going to happen next year? He's going to hold Tua Tagovailoa off for multiple seasons. He's going to be the Brett Favre to Tua's Aaron Rodgers. Are you kidding me? And Pete pointed out that on Sunday when Tua got in the game, Fitz was his biggest fan and riling up the crowd. And he was a cheerleader. Yeah, he didn't know what was coming.
No, he had no
idea. It's very
idea.
easy to be supportive of your backup when your backup finally gets a chance to play because you're up 24-0. I think part of that was the exuberance of we just beat the 49ers 43-17.
That's right.
Now we're shutting out the Jets. I'm golden. This is my gig. And if the Dolphins did anything wrong, Chris, they never really bothered to point out the obvious, that even if you're playing well, and he had 2 interceptions on Sunday, but still they shut out the Jets. But even if you're playing well, and even if things are going great, you're going to get the hook at some point potentially when we think Tua's ready. Period.
Yeah. I mean, you got to always be thinking that. No matter how, well you're playing, and I never really got into a situation totally like a Ryan Fitzpatrick where it's similar, but it's just got to be in the back of your mind at some point that they're going to try to do this. Now, he was with a guy, I think, in Shan Gailey, was also the offensive coordinator in the place where he said he, felt most comfortable in his career, which was Buffalo. So I'm sure between that and his comfort in the offense and some of the communications he's at with Shan Gailey and the fact that I doubt this was a Shan Gailey decision. This is, as you said yesterday, and you've said for a while, this is the higher ups. These are the owners, the GM, the head coach. And I think at the end of the day, probably it shocked him from that standpoint too, because there was probably no warning sign at all. Sometimes when things like that happen, your offensive coordinator, your quarterback coach kind of lets you know those conversations are going on a little bit. Like, hey, you might have to play better this week. There was some talk, just to let you know. So, those type of things go on, and I doubt that went on, and that's probably why it was so shocking as well.
And here's what hasn't happened yet, and I don't know that it will. And part of the problem is that this year you don't get reporters in the locker room like you do in any other year when there isn't a global pandemic. But we saw it earlier this week from the Cowboys players who aren't happy with the coaching staff in Dallas. Have we seen anything from any unnamed player suggesting disagreement with the decision to flip from Ryan Fitzpatrick to Tua Tagovailoa? And you've got veterans there who want to win now. They don't want to hang around and see what happens next year. There may not be a next year for some of these guys. Now, that may be a testament to Brian Flores' ability to clamp down.
Yeah.
Right? It may be a little of the Bill Belichick approach where nobody's saying anything, and any of you that say something, I will find out and don't think I won't. And they're not going to chance it, even though it's going to be hard for him to find out.
Right.
That may have something to do with it, too.
I wouldn't be shocked. And the other thing is they're drinking the Kool-Aid down there. I mean, they should be. I mean, they've turned the organization around. I'm sure the guys there go, wait, every button that Chris Greer and Flores have touched so far, it's kind of worked out, and we've gone in the right direction here. So let's just trust them. That does go on in the locker room as well. The The big thing I'll keep that really sticks out to me, where I think is the biggest issue in this whole situation, is the 49ers game. You just brought it up, and to me, that's where I wanted to start. The 49ers game, if they had lost that game, nobody, no matter what, they beat the Jets and the Jaguars, nobody would be saying anything about them benching Ryan Fitzpatrick at 2-4. But they won that game unexpectedly. 49ers were in a tough spot. We know all that. And Fitzpatrick and the Miami Dolphins played well, no doubt. But that's what I think has thrown his own realm of perception out there a little bit, and probably where it shocked us a little as well. Because of that game, it held him and the team in a little bit of a higher standard, and I'm sure that's what made them panic once again, because they went in the bye week and they went, wait, we're 3-3. Yeah, we could lose to the Rams and be 3-4, but we can easily win the next 4 or 5 games after that. And then what do? We can't pull the switch or pull the plug then. And I think that's where they ultimately probably sat down on Sunday night and realized they were in a tough spot and had to make this type of move.
Another reason to make the move during the bye week, so you can work out all of these various emotions.
That's
and reconfigure the team toward the new starting quarterback. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, despite his disappointment, despite the things he said that were far more candid than anyone would have imagined, he did say that he will be assisting the new starting quarterback as best he can. Here's more from Fitz on the positive side of this development as it relates to Tua taking over.
Once this thing starts up again, I've got to do my best for Tua to help him out, because there's 2 separate situations here. One is with Tua, and I want him to do well, and I think he's a great kid, and I think he has a really bright future. And the other one is, my feelings and just kind of what I'm going through, and that has to be separate from when I walk into this building and help him out. I've got to separate those feelings from trying to be a professional and help him out as best I can.
And that's good, and he needs to do that. I just
Yeah.
think that some of those feelings probably didn't need to bubble up for the benefit of all of us, although thank you, we needed some content this morning, and Ryan Fitzpatrick gave it to us. So I suspect that it will be fine by the time we get to next week. They're going to have the Rams to get ready for. They don't have time to sit around and try to work this out. I don't think Brian Flores is going to want to waste any of his time trying to work this out. He's going to trust that Ryan Fitzpatrick understands. You're getting $470,000 a week. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Whether we play you or not, you're getting this money. We didn't cut you. And, should they, this came up yesterday when Shireen Williams and I were discussing this, because she thinks that the Dolphins should do right by Ryan Fitzpatrick and maybe trade him if that's what he wants. I don't think they should, because they need him in the event Tua gets hurt. Who's your quarterback if Tua gets hurt? I don't think they have any obligation to him other than to pay him a check every week.
No, I don't either. I don't look at it that way, nor is this a situation to where, it's one thing if the guy's been there and carrying your franchise and doing all these great things. He's been there for 2 years. I don't think it's that type of thing. He understood what he signed up for here. So I don't totally see it that way. Fitzpatrick will do the right thing. We know that. I have no doubt that he'll be the right mentor and approach it all the right way as he goes forward. It's a tough time. It's what stinks about football. I mean, football is brutal that way. You have your heart ripped out of you all the time. But I do think.
Well, you almost gave us one.
I almost did. You're right. It almost slipped through there.
You have your rip heart. You have your rip-hearted.
But
you have your rip-hearted.
That's why I do think, going back to a little earlier, that's probably why they did this yesterday. Yeah, they didn't expect to maybe have some of the quotes that he let out. But I think, what you just said, the bye week, all that, get it out of the way. So now we focus on the Rams, Tua. I'm sure they're going to have a few days off here because of that. And he'll get to recharge and figure out, his approach going forward. And I think everything will be fine and dandy there next week in Miami.
Well, if Ryan Fitzpatrick was surprised by the news, he wasn't alone. Here's Tua on his reaction to finding out that he's the new starting quarterback in Miami.
You never know when your opportunity is given. And when Coach Flo called me, I thought it was like any other call. We usually watch film on Tuesdays. And so I thought he was calling because he wanted me to come up and watch some film. So I usually get with him to watch film, but it was different. I just think that you need to be ready every time. So, opportunities come, and when they come, you gotta take them and run with them.
And we saw what Tua can do with that back in his freshman year at Alabama. He got the opportunity in place of Jalen Hurts, and he ran with it all the way to a national championship, and that's when the legend was born, and that's what the Dolphins are hoping that he can do, and we're going to find out. A point someone made yesterday that I hadn't thought of, the idea that the Dolphins hold the Texans' first-round pick. We don't know where the Texans are going to land in the pecking order, but you need to see what Tua has, because you may be in position to do the Arizona Cardinals, Josh Rosen 1 year, Kyler Murray the next year. You just got to see what Tua has as part of your broader decision-making process on what to do with that pick that you got from the Texans in the Laramie Tunsil, Kenny Stills trade.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, it just shows you, again, Miami, and they should trust these guys that are running the organization, and Greer and Flores, because, wow, the team's improved this much. They got all these assets again going into another offseason. And, quite possibly, listen, as we've talked about a lot here, Trevor Lawrence is looking like it's going to be the greatest fight ever for one player. It really is. And right now, Pete just got in my ear and said the Texans would be sitting there at the 7th pick of the draft. So, hey, they'll be able to make moves if they want to. But I think they drafted Tua thinking this is our guy. It's why they got Shan Gailey there. It's an offense they believe fits him. And they're going to try to now build the rest of the team around them. And I'd like to see it go that route. I love Trevor Lawrence. He's awesome. But, hey, let's build a team. And then as long as you just got a good quarterback, you could still win. And you can win a whole lot of games for a long, long time. And then maybe he'll become great as you put that good team around him. And I think too many times we're looking for that one guy too much here in recent history.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.